So I've noticed on my YouTube channel, because it gives you like analytics and stuff, that a lot of you young men watch my videos. And that leads me to believe that a lot of you young guys are watching the videos because it's like pertaining to like being masculine and uh, trying to find a wife or girlfriend or dating or whatever. Like it pops up in the same kind of videos that you guys are watching to begin with anyway. So I'm going to answer a question for a lot of you guys that a lot of you guys have and something of great value to most of you. So check this out. Here is what I would suggest to you in finding a wife. Here's what I would suggest as the most important things that you can look for in finding a wife. Now, I don't take this subject lightly, and I expect that you guys are going to make mistakes because guess what? I did. But the one thing that you guys can do is correct those mistakes along the way. But you'll want to choose the correct wife kind of going forward, the best you can do for your situation in your life. And there's a lot of videos of like, hey, don't go after divorced chicks or like chicks that have kids already or like all this other stuff. And like, yeah, that's true. So we're just going to assume like you got your head kind of screwed on straight to begin with and you're of a median age, right? You're not like 50-year-old dude like looking for a 20-year-old wife because like that's going to be a little bit tough. You're not, 38 and like terribly out of shape and you got nothing going for you. So we're just going to make like a couple assumptions that your life is in an upward trajectory currently and that you have some semblance of normalcy in your brain, but your brain's just a little bit warped by the culture. So here's what I would look for in a wife, and here's what I would recommend to you. Two things. Number one is shared values, and it goes hand in hand with shared religion. Those are the two big factors that you can choose from. So I don't know what your religion is, but I don't think it makes a lot of difference as far as that's concerned. But you want to choose somebody in your same faith base, like a Catholic marrying a Protestant, and they're both practicing. That's gonna be a tough marriage, man. Like Catholic marrying an Indian, that's gonna be a tough marriage, right? The shared values aren't the same. A super conservative dude marrying a super liberal girl, going out with her, like that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work at all. And like same thing with like a liberal guy marrying like a conservative woman. Not that that would ever happen, right? No. All right. So shared values and shared religion. So here's what I would look for. Look not so much for the idea of a soulmate. Like I think that natural inclination to fall in love, like that can happen, but don't be like, oh, it's my soulmate and blah, blah, which a lot of guys do, and then you overlook the faults of the other. Now that can happen if it's like small faults, but if it's faults that bear on same religion and shared values, then that's a problem. And the one thing that kind of really, really skews guys, especially, is if you're going to be, you're physically with them. Because the second a guy is physically with her, he doesn't want to lose that anymore. So he'll compromise just about anything. And a lot of you young guys will compromise just about anything because you feel like you're getting the thing that you want, which is the thing that most guys want, right? So let's not do that thing and like not cloud your mind with that thing. And the quicker that you guys do something stupid like that, the quicker both of your minds get clouded and you can't see what the situation really is. Shared values, shared religion. Look so not much for the idea of a soulmate. And here's the other thing, look so not much on beauty in a potential, but look for A wife, somebody that's going to be respectful, shared values, shared religion. A wife, somebody that you can see as your wife, not clouded, not like you're making compromises for their poor behavior, but you could see them as a wife. And then listen to this, guys, as a mother. They're nurturing, they're dutiful, and they're faithful. And maybe somebody has a head on their shoulders. Maybe you want to homeschool your kids. So you want a wife that could also do that too, that is going to be dutiful, nurturing, faithful, has some sort of intelligence to help you run the household, run those children, going to be nurturing for the children. Now, a lot of times women will say these things and act a certain way, but what you can do is not look at so much in what she says, but how she acts. Like that's going to be a big thing. Like somebody could say like, "Oh, like I really want to be a wife and a mother and I'm nurturing and I'm faithful and I'm dutiful." But if she's not dutiful and faithful in other areas of her life, then it's just words, right? You want to look at actions, not words. So it's the actions. Like, how does she act around other children? Does she have friends that have children? If you had brought her around like a family event and there's children around, like, is she like stone cold to children? Is she engaging with children? Like, that's stuff to look at. Like, don't worry about the words that come out of her mouth. Worry about the actions. And the same thing can go for you ladies that are going to be watching the video. And I know there's like something like 15% of my viewers are women. Like the same thing. You want to look at him and look at him as a husband, right? You want to see like, is he good with money? Like, don't worry about the words that come out of his mouth. Like, is he actually good with money? Is he responsible with money? What are the actions behind that? What are the actions of him, with children? If you bring him to a family event, is he engaging or does he like stick out his boot and push them over? You got to see those things. So like view the actions, not the words on both parties, but especially you guys that most of my audience looking for a wife, like look at those, what the actions are and not the words. The next place that you're going to want to look is to her parents. How is her parents' marriage? Why is this important when considering her as a wife? Because, guys, her parents, their relationship with each other, their marriage, that is her first example of what a marriage is. So if her mother is super controlling and nagging and terrible to the husband and he's a pushover, like you have to understand, like that was the soup that she was in the entire time coming up. And that is her example in marriage. That's the first example she's going to take. If her dad is like, a complete effeminate pushover, she could say she's not going to want that, but I mean, that's her example. That's the stew that she's been brought up in. So that's going to cause you major heartache. So it's stuff to consider, guys, to look at her parents' marriage, look at how that functions. Is her father a father or is he not a father? Is he around? Because a lot of times, if a girl's father is not around, that's going to be trouble. If a girl's father is around but very neglectful, that's going to be a problem. And while you say like, oh, that's their relationship, it has nothing to do with, me or like why I want to be with this girl or anything else, like, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Imagine you were sitting in a classroom somewhere and it's in, you're being taught information and like watching the information play out in real time. And you've been in that classroom for whatever, 24 years. Like you were born in that classroom and in 24 years, like those have been all your examples. Every lesson you've learned, every interaction you've overseen has been in that classroom. So yeah, guys, that's going to be a big game changer for you. So you have to view how her parents' marriage is. Are they kind to each other? Does her father like appropriately govern the household? Like that's stuff she's going to expect from you. So if that's happening there and those boxes are checked off and the father governs his household effectively and takes care of his daughter, he puts rules around his daughter and you dating her, like things are probably looking good for you, right? But if he's like nonchalant and like letting you guys have sleepovers and stuff, the mother's ruling the house, like letting you guys have sleepovers at the house, like that ain't good, man. That ain't good at all. That's not going to lead to anything good. All right. Look especially to her relationship with her father. Why? Why especially to her relationship with her father? Number one, her father is going to set all the bounds and the guidelines, and hopefully he's going to set good bounds and guidelines. But if he's like a loosey-goosey dad, lets her do whatever, like you you can ask those questions. You can ask those questions while dating, like, hey, how was your dad growing up? Was your relation, stuff like that. People love to talk about themselves, to talk about their families. So ask those questions, start to find out. If you have further questions, you just drop in the comments. I'll answer those along the way. So look especially to her relationship with her father, because her father too, on the other hand, is her first love. Like, and if she doesn't love her father like that, like as her first love, like the first man in her life, looking up to him and his character, then that's a problem. So if he's a poor father, she's gonna despise him, secretly despise him. Even if she doesn't like outright say it, he's just like a weak, effeminate man, she's gonna secretly despise him, and thus probably it's gonna cause you some relationship difficulties as well. So let's take that into account. Is her father strong or is he passive? Is her mother headstrong? Does she rule the house? Kind of put him in his place? Like that's the type of marriage that you can expect if that is occurring there. So you want to view and go into this thing knowing what your potential pitfalls can be and also making decisions based upon that information. Not necessarily all the words, but the actions. Like if you're coming up and you're around that family and you're going there for dinners and like things are going in the right place, like you want to see those interactions between her mother and her father, and how does it go? Who's in charge in that house? Because it's going to be the same thing in your house. All right. A potential wife's value is not just in her looks or her sex appeal. Like that's all good, guys. And I see a lot of you can get your brains fogged up by the looks of a woman, like how she looks, her sex appeal, that kind of companionship. Like I could tell her anything. She's my best friend. Yo, man, she's not going to be your best friend all your life. I'll tell you that. I promise. I promise, promise, promise. Why? Because men and women are different. Like the way we communicate is different. The way we speak is different. The way we interpret information and view the world is completely different. How we operate in the world is completely different. Like we are 100% different. That's why you want your wife to be nurturing and mothering, and if looks and beauty come that way too, like that's awesome. Like I'm not saying like don't be attracted to your wife. Like yeah, like that's part of it, but it's not the only thing, and it shouldn't be the only thing. It shouldn't be the only thing that clouds your mind. So all this stuff of like she's my best friend, like that will fade in time. Like when you're dating and you're potentially going to get married, those things will fade over time. Like your wife won't be your best friend, and she's not going to be your best friend. She's going to have a best friend, and you probably want to know who that is. You probably want to know how her best friend acts. And the same thing goes for you. You're going to have a friend, and that's it. And that's all you can expect. Somebody that you can speak the same language, because man to man. And she'll have somebody that she speaks the same language with, like woman to woman, like how we view the world, how we interpret information. It's all completely different. Okay. So again, like let's look at, motherhood, her instinctive ability for motherhood, for nurturing, Is she smart? Can she teach the children? Does she have strong religious values? Is there something like keeping her in check? Does she have an internal compass that can keep her in check? Because the world is a crazy place. There's a million opportunities out there, right? And it's very easy to get influenced and throw everything all away. And that happens. That definitely happens. And it happens, I guess, statistically, a lot more with women filing for divorce than men. Like, you don't want that. You want somebody that has a strong character, strong religious values, the same religion as you, the same values as you, and morals and virtue. So, looks and sex and companionship, companionship, like how you guys interact, like not as best friends, but like your actual companionship of like moving through life together. That's very important. Raising children, that's very important. Like, you want to be able to view that. If it's incompatible and you guys are fighting all the time, like that's probably not going to be good. Now, remember, guys, as far as looks are concerned, those looks for her will fade. Like, maybe she's going to keep them for a long time, but those looks will fade. There has to be more important values than just looks and sex appeal. The honeymoon phase in your marriage, it will 100% end, like without a doubt. And like once that phase ends, that's when those little annoyances can pop up and become big things, and how those effects affect you. Looks fade, sexual desire changes. In the beginning, that's all plentiful in all areas, but once things carry on for a while, those things start to, that same like gusto of looks and beauty and sex appeal, like those things will change over time. Okay, so at the end of the day, what you're really looking for is being on the same page with parenting, being on the same page with morals, virtue, religion, values, shared religion. You want to view her friends, view her family's relationship, take all those things into account, how her mother and father are, and then you're looking at a potential wife. And then I'll make some more videos about this because it's all fun, interesting stuff. So that's it for now, guys. I'm out. Subscribe, leave a comment, ask me a question, whatever. Out.